My fiancé's funded male college student was relentlessly pursuing her, and she called him a simp. But when the simp got into a car accident, she didn't hesitate to run away from our wedding to take care of him. The system judged that I had failed my mission to win her over, and the cost was, forget her. Chapter 1. October 1st was the day of my wedding. I was feeling a bit nervous. Wearing a black suit, holding a 3-carat diamond ring, I rehearsed over and over again behind the scenes of the chapel, imagining the most handsome way to slip the wedding band onto her finger when the time came. My fiancée rushed toward me, holding her wedding dress, and said, "Something's wrong, honey. Romeo's had a car accident." I couldn't help but furrow my brow. To be honest, I didn't like talking about Romeo, nor did I have much respect for him. He was a flamboyant man, always twirling his fingers like a diva. He liked wearing makeup and earrings. He even wore silver eyeliner. To me, he seemed effeminate, but my fiancée would always tell me I didn't understand. She said it was a kind of fragile aura that could awaken a woman's nurturing instincts and make them feel pity for him. I didn't want to discuss this any further. Romeo was a college student funded by my fiancé's family, and he had been infatuated with her for a long time. My fiancée knew about this and had made it clear to him in front of me, rejecting him and asking him not to bother her anymore. But he was persistent. He'd send her hand-woven bags, play the role of a courtier, make hairpins with peacock feathers he collected for her, and even buy her breakfast and lunch. He called it gifts between friends. I didn't feel particularly threatened. After all, I had far better conditions than Romeo. But one day, I saw my fiancée wearing the hairpin Romeo had given her, and something felt off. I sarcastically remarked, only he could do such cheap and useless things. My fiancée shot me a glance and retorted, "What's so great about having money? You act like your background is so noble." Her words stung me deeply. Chapter 02. Romeo had a car accident. On my happiest day, my fiancée was in a panic, running around in circles. She was on the verge of tears, pushing me repeatedly and saying, "What should I do? What should I do?" Romeo must have known I was getting married today, and couldn't handle the shock. That's why he had the accident. It's my fault. I watched as the tears in my fiancé's eyes fell, one by one, like pearls from a broken string. Smudging the makeup she had just applied, she lifted the hem of her wedding dress. "I'm going to see him. If he doesn't make it, the last person he wants to see will be me. It's my fault." At this moment, I spoke with a hint of pleading in my voice. "Ali, don't be like this. Calm down. Our relatives and friends are all here. If you leave, the wedding will be called off. It'll be such a disgrace, don't you think, Bruno? How have you changed? You've become like this ever since you got money." My fiancée asked, her eyes red. "A life is at stake. Is your face more important than that?" I didn't know how to respond. In the blink of an eye, my fiancée had already run out the door of the hall, holding her wedding dress. In that moment, I heard a mechanical female voice in my head. "Host, your attempt to win her over has failed. Request to erase your memories of the target." I awkwardly smiled and raised my glass in front of the guests. "Ladies and gentlemen, on this joyful day, let's raise our glasses to our motherland. Happy birthday." Chapter 03. After Alicia ran away from the wedding, I went to the hospital to find her. Thinking that Romeo was injured, I decided to bring flowers and fruits to visit him, so I asked the driver to go buy them. I sat alone in the car, smoking. I saw Alicia and Romeo walking out of the hospital together, laughing and talking. Just as I lowered my eyes, Romeo suddenly brushed the bridge of her nose lightly. Alicia giggled, lowering her head. I had my cigarette dangling from my lips. The lighter clicked 3 times but wouldn't light. It wasn't until then that I really looked at this Romeo. In the past, I had never thought much of him because I didn't see him as a man. He had a K-pop star-like hairstyle, a sharp face, eyes that were big and watery, and a star-shaped earring in his left ear. He spoke softly, and whenever he finished a sentence, he would stretch the last syllable. He was still in his senior year of college. His family conditions weren't good, and his health wasn't great either. His tuition and living expenses were all funded by Alicia's family. As for me, I came from a rich family in the city. Alicia had no reason to choose him over me, but at that moment, I couldn't stay calm. Chapter 04. Alicia once praised Romeo's eyes in front of me. She said she liked his eyes. They were pure, like a big boy's, with the smell of sunshine and grass, yet there was a kind of hazy, broken feeling to them, unlike my eyes, which were strong and determined, carrying a hint of darkness and invisible pressure. Alicia said I was too serious, sometimes, in a fit of temper. She said I didn't love her. She said I spent most of my time dealing with the company, and she felt like she was a dispensable part of my life. She said Romeo could give her everything, but I could only offer her a small fraction of what I had. Alicia said I had never really put thought into preparing a gift for her. Unlike Romeo, who could stay up all night making her a hand-crocheted bag, I would just buy her things like jade bangles, stuff that could be bought with money. She didn't need more money. I knew what she wanted. Deep down, but I couldn't give it to her. I came from a very humble background. If it was just poverty, that would be one thing. But my father was a rapist. My mother ran away, and my grandmother was bedridden for years. I had no money to go to school. Even though I was top of the city in my entrance exams, I had endured too many scornful looks. I started working as a mason on construction sites, and to make an impression on my boss, I'd shield him from attacks, doing shady things like loan sharking and forced demolitions. Eventually, I started my own construction company and invested in real estate. I walked a long, dirty road before I reached Alicia's side, and in the process, I had lost the purity of my old self. For Alicia, I would overcome any obstacle, but I couldn't live my life over again. Chapter 05. Alicia knocked on my car window twice, revealing a soft, pink little face. She smiled at me under the sun. For a moment, Alicia's face blurred in my vision, and I couldn't see her clearly. The system's cold voice rang out. Host, your attempt to win her over has failed. Request to erase your memories of the target. My memories shattered into thousands of pieces, like little windows, spread out before my eyes. At 14, I was working as a mason on Alicia's father's construction site. Alicia was carrying a fluffy pink, cuddly leopard doll, brought by her father to experience life. She looked like a porcelain doll. Her dimples were deep, swirling like a vortex, and with one glance, she captured my heart. I didn't dare to look up at her. At 14, the site lost some steel bars, and my master pinned me down, beating me mercilessly. It had become an unspoken rule: whenever something went wrong, everyone would blame me. The son of a rapist. If a dog left a poop on the roadside, it would be assumed to be mine. I got used to it. I lived like a stray dog, self-destructive, thinking this was the way my life was meant to be. It was the little Alicia, in her floral dress and pink shoes, who ran over, flushed with embarrassment, arguing with everyone, insisting that she had been watching me the whole time, and that I didn't steal the steel bars. It was little Alicia who helped me up, brushed the dirt off my clothes, and told me, word by word, it doesn't matter whose son you are. What matters is who you are. She even placed a truth-seeking rod into my hand. That rod has stayed with me all these years, through decades of time. In the middle of all the ruins, I reached out my hand, wanting to grab the ray of light from heaven. The system appeared at that moment, and a voice echoed in my mind. Ding. Hello, host. The mission has begun. Your target has appeared. Please make her fall in love with you and marry you. At that time, I felt like I was possessed by a demon. How could a porcelain doll-like girl ever be someone a person like me could dare to dream about? But I couldn't stop thinking about her, winning her over. No, she wasn't just a target. She was the faith that brought me back to life. I had walked a long road to get to her side, but now, it seemed she was about to leave me. Chapter 06. System, host, your attempt to win her over has failed. Request to erase your memories of the target. I watched as my memories of Alicia slowly shattered, dissipating without a trace. My hand reached out through the car window, grabbing Alicia's hand tightly. Sweat was pouring down my face in large drops. Ali, marry me. Hurry, get in the car, right now, we don't have time. Romeo, who was standing behind Alicia, suddenly changed color. He started panting heavily, his face turning pale as paper. Then, right before my eyes, he collapsed dramatically, clutching his chest in an exaggerated, fragile manner. With one hand still holding onto Alicia's dress hem, he weakly begged, please. Don't do this to me. You know, my heart. His act of vulnerability was almost too much to bear. Alicia quickly wrenched her hand free from mine and crouched down to support him. Romeo, you can't be hurt. Then, turning to me in anger, she snapped, you're provoking him, on purpose, when he's still recovering from the accident. Bruno, I didn't expect this from you. Can't you be a little kinder? She pushed me aside and helped Romeo toward the hospital. System, host. Your attempt to win her over has failed. Request to erase your memories of the target. I was gasping for air, unable to think clearly. I told myself I couldn't give up. I hadn't lost yet. I began slamming my fist into the car window, my right hand bleeding and mangled. I used the sharp pain to keep myself awake. I screamed, no, I haven't lost. I haven't lost yet. System, host, your attempt has failed. The system will forcibly erase your memories of the target. I screamed desperately, refusing to believe I was defeated. Then suddenly, there was a deafening crash behind me, and my vision blurred into darkness. Before I lost consciousness, I heard the system's voice, host, you haven't lost. It was your target who made you lose. Chapter 07. I woke up in the hospital. A crowd of people surrounded me. Chairman, you're finally awake. The doctor said you're fine. Just drink more hot water. Regarding the green area land, what are your thoughts on that? Chairman, we've prepared the tender for the government's project to build public housing. We just need you to review it. Chairman, I rubbed my forehead and motioned for someone to bring me some hot water. A young woman, who looked rather delicate, leaned in close to me, her eyes brimming with tears. She almost knocked me over as she cried out, "Hubby, you're awake. I'm so sorry. I should have married you that day. If I had, you wouldn't have had the accident. It's all my fault." I extended my hand and gently pushed her away. Businessmen have a strict rule: no mixing of business and personal relationships. I looked at my assistant in confusion. "Who is this?" The assistant gave a snide smile. "Chairman, this is your fiancée. You don't remember her." "What?" I looked at the young woman. She had clear eyes, shining with an innocence that wasn't particularly bright. In a family like mine, marriage was supposed to be a family alliance. As a self-made man, I wanted a strong, capable partner, someone with sharp business acumen. This girl seemed naive, not the right match for me. I turned to my assistant and asked, "Whose daughter is she?" "Ma family real estate, only daughter, Alicia." Ma family. The Ma family had been on a decline for 3 years now. The heir was known for his vices, drinking, gambling, and other reckless behaviors. Inside sources said they were drowning in debt. Unless something unexpected happened, bankruptcy was imminent. Marrying into the Ma family wasn't a good idea. Unmarried. What's going on? The assistant didn't show it, but I could tell from her eyes that she was looking at me like I was an idiot. "Chairman, you might have forgotten due to your injury, but 3 days ago, you and this young lady had your wedding. She ran away to be with another man." I stared at her in shock. It was 2023, and people still ran away from weddings. If you didn't like someone, you didn't have to marry them. If you agreed to marry, don't back out. But perhaps this was for the best. I looked at Alicia. "Miss Ma, 3 days ago, you left me at the altar. It's clear you have someone else in your heart. As a gentleman, I won't stand in your way. I'll arrange for the marriage annulment soon. Please don't feel pressured." Alicia froze, her eyes wide in disbelief. Instantly, tears began to pour down her face, and her lips trembled. "Hubby, what are you saying? Don't tell me you don't want me anymore." I was a businessman, not a saint. There was no reason to soften my heart just because a woman cried. I couldn't understand why the woman who had left me still cried for me. I gave a polite smile and motioned for my assistant to escort her out. Chapter 08. In the few days I was recovering from my injuries, there was a lot of work piling up. By the time I finished, it was already past midnight. I was about to take a hot shower when my phone rang. I looked down at the screen. "Alicia." I picked up the phone, and she immediately started shouting at me. "Bruno, why haven't you called me? Are you ignoring me on purpose?" I held the phone at arm's length. "Miss Ma, what's going on?" Alicia burst into tears. "Bruno, are you mad at me? Are you pretending to have amnesia to make me angry?" She sniffled. "Well, you've succeeded. I'm really upset right now. You'd better apologize." I gently massaged my temples. "Pretend to have amnesia? Miss Ma, do you think I'm that petty? Do you think I have nothing better to do than act in a soap opera with you?" I forced a laugh. "Miss Ma, if it's not something important, don't call me. If it is, contact my assistant. Everything should go through the proper channels." Alicia cried uncontrollably, saying, "Bruno, I didn't mean to run away from the wedding. I just thought Romeo was dying." "That means you've made a choice. As adults, we need to take responsibility for our decisions." I hung up the phone and went into the shower. Afterward, I sent an email to my secretary, instructing him to go to the Ma family's house early tomorrow morning to annul the marriage. There was no way I was going to handle it personally. The Ma family's daughter had publicly run away from the wedding and slapped my family's face. I wasn't that easy to deal with. Chapter 09. I slept until the afternoon of the next day. When I woke up, I heard that Sam, the chairman of Ma real estate, had come to visit, bringing his daughter along. What's meant to happen will always come around. I quickly tidied myself up and went out to meet them. Sam looked a decade older, his demeanor stiff and uneasy, probably due to the recent struggles of the Ma family business. As soon as they entered the room, Sam slapped Alicia hard across the face. It was a heavy slap. Alicia staggered. Her waist hit the corner of my desk with a thud, and she fell to the floor. Her hair scattered, and blood appeared at the corner of her mouth. I frowned. "Mr. Ma, let's talk properly. No need to embarrass the girl in front of me." Sam grunted. "She won't learn unless I discipline her." He then forced Alicia to serve me tea, explaining with a forced smile that Alicia was young and naive, that she'd been deceived, and in a panic, she ran away thinking someone had died. Sam added, "Chairman, you know my daughter, she's always been kind-hearted, always pitying the weak. She never meant to disrespect you." Alicia, still dazed, struggled to get up from the floor. She shakily poured me a cup of tea and handed it to me with a bow. I looked down at her and said, "Mr. Ma, when it comes to marriage, you can't force it." Miss Ma ran away from the wedding in front of everyone for another man. That's a clear sign she has someone in her heart. I've already found out who it is. He's a university student supported by your family. Someone Miss Ma has known since she was young. I, Bruno, never force anyone into a relationship. I'm not lacking in women, and I don't just take anyone. So I gently pushed the tea she handed over back towards her, smiling. I hope Miss Ma finds a better match. When that happens, I'll be happy to send my congratulations." Upon hearing this, Alicia immediately exploded, throwing the teacup to the floor with a loud crash. "Bruno, how dare you? I'm Alicia. I'm not some woman who can't get married, and I'm not some desperate person who needs you." With that, she stormed out of the room. I turned to look apologetically at the Ma couple. Sam's face was flushed with anger, alternating between green and pale. He snapped at me. "Young chairman, those words were a bit too harsh, don't you think?" I chuckled lightly. "Miss Ma ran away from our wedding, and I ended up in a car accident. Such a big deal. And yet, the Ma family waits for me to come to them to annul the marriage before you make time to give an explanation." At this point, it was clear we were past saving face. Sam was about to retort, but he was interrupted by a loud, wet cough. After a long pause, he huffed, flicked his sleeve, and left with his wife. I sat there calmly, playing with my walnut, a faint smile on my lips. Chapter 10. My company was in the process of preparing for an IPO, and I was interacting more frequently with the fund companies in the industry. Though I'm not someone who enjoys attending events, I was reluctantly dragged into a few cocktail parties and salons. At one of these events, Valentina, the vice president of Hongyang Fund, caught my attention. As a normal man, my first instinct when seeing a woman is to look at her face and figure. Valentina was wearing a wine-red gown that day, and her pearl necklace shone brightly. I went over to chat with her, mostly about stock market matters. If Valentina's looks had only drawn me in, her professional expertise truly impressed me. I continued talking to her for a bit longer. By the time we were a few drinks in, we ended up dancing. I was enjoying myself that night, completely unaware of the two poisonous glares staring at me from behind. At some point, Alicia showed up, and she wasn't alone. Romeo was with her. When Alicia saw me dancing with Valentina, with my hand around her waist, she immediately lost her temper. She grabbed a glass of red wine and hurled it at Valentina's face. I reacted quickly, stepping in front of Valentina, and the wine splashed across my suit instead. Alicia spat venomously. "Bruno, no wonder you so casually annulled our marriage. You've already found someone new. You were probably fooling around with her even when we were together." What a seamless transition. I frowned and took off my suit jacket, signaling my assistant to bring me a new one. I glanced at Romeo behind Alicia. This must be the men she had run away for. I couldn't help but laugh silently. As I changed into my new suit, I said, "Since Miss Ma already has someone in her heart, what's the point of still bothering me?" I pointed to Alicia. "My suit cost 12,000, and Miss Ma ruined it. You'll handle the compensation." I turned to look at Alicia. "Miss Ma, you've caused a scene with my dance partner. Don't you think an apology is in order?" Valentina simply waved her hand with a nonchalant smile and walked away, leaving Alicia to lose her mind on the spot. I shot her a look, then called Sam to come pick her up. But before I could get through, she snatched my phone away and slammed it onto the ground. She began stomping on my phone like a madwoman, then raised herself on tiptoe to kiss Romeo on the lips, deliberately tilting her chin in a defiant challenge. "Bruno, you don't really think I can't get married, do you? You think I'm desperate for you?" I lifted my glass with a faint smile, nodding toward her. "Well then, I wish Miss Ma and Mr. Su a lifetime of happiness." Chapter 11. I honestly didn't expect Romeo to come looking for me. I'm not interested in fighting for a woman. Recently, I've been communicating quite well with Valentina. She's beautiful, intelligent, elegant, and rational. She controls the largest private equity fund in the country. Spending time with her, while not overly passionate, is very comfortable. She's incredibly sharp, gets things done with precision, and has a strong sense of balance. More importantly, she comes from a similar background to mine. She too has fought her way up from the bottom, understanding the harsh realities of life. That's why she's broad-minded and able to embrace everything. I respect women like her. I believe she would make an excellent partner and business ally. After all, I once had a marriage arrangement with Alicia, but because of Valentina, I've been avoiding anything related to Alicia. Given my status and position, if I don't want to see her, she shouldn't have any chance to see me. So, it was quite unexpected when Romeo showed up. The moment Romeo entered my office, he plopped down on the sofa, nonchalantly speaking up, "Give me 50 million, and I'll give Alicia to you." I was stunned. "I say, you might as well keep it. It'd take me 2 months to earn that." Romeo pushed further. "How about 25 million? I signaled for my assistant to escort him out. Where did this madman come from? Romeo was forcibly dragged out by 2 burly men, but he kept craning his neck and shouting, 10 million, 5 million, 5,000 bucks. No, I'll even pay you 5,000 bucks to work for you. Please, take Alicia away, bro. I furrowed my brows. This guy was definitely a little off. It was a real disgrace to have once shared a woman with him. Then, he suddenly blurted out, I have a system. I really have a system. Please just listen to me. System, huh? I remembered this. It had appeared long ago, claiming that the world I lived in was actually a book, and my task in the story was to make Alicia fall in love with me and marry me. Then, a while ago, when Alicia ran away from the wedding, the system told me my mission had failed and erased my memories of Alicia. So, I was supposed to have forgotten about her. It wasn't a big deal. She and I were never meant to be, but what was with this Romeo? I waved my hand, signaling to bring him in. Romeo didn't beat around the bush. He smiled bitterly and said, "Bro, what do I look like right now?" I paused for a moment. "Like a sissy." Romeo slapped his thigh with a loud smack. "Bro, your eye for detail is spot on. You're the main character of the book. After all, I'm just a sissy now." I remained silent. Then, Romeo started taking off his clothes. I furrowed my brow. "What are you doing? It's pretty obvious I like women." Romeo suddenly burst into tears, frantically ripping up the tissues in my office. When I tried to stop him, I told him to calm down, but he was like a wild boar that couldn't be subdued. As we struggled, he managed to get his shirt off. He pointed to his bulging abs and said, "Bro, look at this." "How do I look?" I replied. "Like a real man." Romeo, crazy. Romeo continued, "Bro, you have no idea how disgusting this system of mine is. Bro, look at you, and then look at me. I'm telling you, our world is a book. You are the protagonist. I'm just a supporting character. You're the chosen one, the dragon among men. But look at me, I'm just a loser. Seriously, the gap between people is so huge. You're a born protagonist, an indigenous hero. I, on the other hand, am from another world, a country bumpkin. You've got a golden finger, and I'm just the second lead. A weak, sissy second lead. Bro, do you know what a second lead is? It's the guy who's a simp for the heroine, the one who makes the hero jealous, the tool who's there to be summoned or dismissed. My fate is to keep this weak, sissy image, lick the heroine's boots until you and her break through me and live happily ever after. My system told me that if I failed my mission, it would castrate me. I've been living in fear of this for 25 years. Can you imagine? But just a few days ago, my system told me that you also have a system. You failed in your mission, and I succeeded. The reward for my success, I get the heroine. But the scary part is, the system told me it had made a mistake. It told me that if I failed, it wouldn't castrate me. In fact, seeing how hard I've worked to maintain my character, it might let me win the lottery for 50 million. Romeo cried out, 50 million? Bro, I missed out on 50 million. Please, help me complete the mission. You take the heroine back. I know you don't care about the 50 million, but you care about her. I know she's your precious, so I'm giving her back to you. I really need that 50 million. Romeo pointed to his shiny earring in his left ear. Bro, look at me. Maintaining this character is just as bad as being castrated. Before I came here, I was a pig butcher, a tough, steel-hearted man. Why can't I just be a real man? I think I finally understood. If the world we live in is truly a book, then the ending should be me and Alicia ending up together, and Romeo walking away with the 50 million. But now there's a bug. I failed my mission, and Romeo ended up with the heroine Alicia, someone he didn't even want. So, for the sake of 50 million, he came to me to restore the original storyline. But honestly, I didn't see the need for that. I thought things were fine as they were. So, I rejected Romeo's request and watched his face gradually fade into despair. I'm a businessman, not a Buddha. Money comes when it's meant to. If it's not in the cards, there's no point in forcing it. That 50 million, it's not meant to be his. Chapter 12. Alicia is getting married. The groom isn't Romeo. It's a young heir from a family alliance. A wealthy heir who could save the Ma family's declining business. This young heir is a typical second generation, with a strong father but mediocre abilities himself. I've met plenty of people like him. Alicia came in person to deliver the invitation. I was reading through some documents when my assistant handed it to me. I glanced at it and placed it on the tea tray. Yes, I'll go. Alicia looked stunning that day, wearing a fiery red dress and a large diamond necklace. We hadn't seen each other for months. Things felt distant. She wasn't as turbulent as before. Alicia sat on the sofa for a while. I finished going through most of the materials, and only then did she ask coldly, "Are you done?" I pointed to the materials. "I still have a bit left, Miss Ma. Is there anything else?" Alicia gave a faint, sad smile. "I wasn't talking about that." She stared at me, as if trying to look into my soul, and spoke each word slowly. "I'm getting married tomorrow. Don't you have anything else to say? Congratulations." Alicia lowered her eyes. When she looked up again, her eyes glistened with unshed tears. She said, "Bruno, give me a word, just one word, and I won't marry him. I'll come back to you, just one word." I tapped my pen on the desk. "I really have lost my memory of you." Memories can change, but character doesn't. Over this period, I've learned about our past from others. If we've had so much history, then you should understand the kind of person I am. Whether or not I've lied to you about my memory, you know in your heart, I'm not someone who throws tantrums. Alicia's eyes lit up. I smiled faintly. "On the day of our wedding, I must have begged you to stay, but you didn't. I've always kept a journal to fill in the gaps of my memory. I've gone through every page. I realized everything I desperately tried to hold on to was for you. Looking back now, it's laughable. I guess I did it for myself, to give myself an excuse, a reason not to give up. Even without you, there would have been other things. The road I'm on is difficult. My starting point was you, but the end isn't. I am someone who will do anything to climb up, to change my destiny and the fate of future generations. You, on the other hand, are a spoiled child. You enjoyed my protection and affection while also savoring Romeo's sycophantic concern. You thought I would always be behind you, waiting whenever you called. But no, we all have our own lives. Even if I hadn't lost my memory, we wouldn't have gone far. We aren't on the same path. It was just that during those years, my attention made you shine. You're getting married tomorrow, and I'll be there. I smiled. But once you're married, don't come looking for me. Don't look for anyone else. Marriage is not a game. You'd better take my words seriously. Alicia stared at me, the same way she did when we first met, with intense focus, and then she grit her teeth and said, "Can't you see? The reason I'm getting married so hastily is just to piss you off." I took a sip of tea, but it got caught in my throat, and I started coughing violently. It seems that despite everything I just said, she hadn't taken a single word to heart. Well, fine. I'll be getting married soon too, to Valentina. Unless something unexpected happens, we'll never see each other again. Epilogue. After that, I never saw Alicia again. Of course, I went to her wedding. She cried the entire time. People said she was crying her way to marriage, unable to leave her parents. I took a quick glance and left, seeing her trailing behind, her gown in hand, staring blankly as her new husband restrained her. I smiled, and left. Soon after, I got married, and we immigrated abroad. Everything back home no longer concerned me. But once, when I came back for business, I heard people say Alicia wasn't doing well. The Ma family went bankrupt, and Alicia was living off others. She, confused and lost, kept mumbling about me, showing up at my company, at my house, at the places we once visited together. She even posted on social media. She said that you can't love what you've loved before, but you can walk through what you've walked together again. Her husband found out, and soon, the two of them began arguing every other day. After a few more rounds, he stopped paying her any attention and started keeping another woman. Then she turned into a bitter, resentful woman, forever clinging to the past, neither dead nor truly living. It was something I could have predicted, but what did it have to do with me? My company went public, and my beautiful wife gave birth to twins, a boy and a girl. My life was full of happiness, and there was nothing I regretted.